Boom! With my beautiful face right here, looking at the camera, we are at the beautiful Te Patu Maori experience, which is located in Rotorua. And we're there because today we're going to be talking about the best places to experience the Maori culture in New Zealand. So the Maori culture is alive and thriving in New Zealand, and it's an extremely amazing and usually eye-opening experience to kind of encounter it and learn more about it during your trip to New Zealand. So we've created this list which has pretty much about like all the Maori experience in the country. It's probably about around 50, and there is a link to it in the description of this video. And what we're going to be doing is that we're going to go over some of our favorites, some of the best places, some of the most cultural places, and we're going to go region by region. So I'll introduce a bit of a region, and then Laura is going to go over some of the best experience to be had there while the team over there is getting started. So that's kind of like the... Can we quickly describe what that is?
Just after Adil just says that the music is drowning your voice, so maybe we'll just...
There you go. That should be better now. Alright, so we're going to get started with our theme of the week, and right now we're going to be talking about Rotorua, just because, well, this is happening in Rotorua, so may as well start there. So, and to be quite fair, there's no denying Rotorua is kind of the one place to go if you want to experience the Maori culture. And there is a lot of Maori legends, about the city of Rotorua itself, or the area of Rotorua itself. But there's also some really awesome Maori attractions. So Laura, I go through some of them.
Yeah, so first up we have Te Patu, which is the one that's on screen right now. And this is formerly known as Tamaki Maori Village. Their sort of thing is that they do a cultural evening with... lots of different traditions shown, kapahaka, which is the performances, a hangi buffet, and some sort of interactive workshops as well, some Maori games, that sort of thing, so that's quite cool. Very similar, but a bit more intimate, is the Mitai Maori Village, which is another experience, also happens on an evening, so it's a great thing to do if you want to do experiences in the day and then have this to do on an evening. Next up we have Te Puia, which is a mix of a Maori experience where they do performances in their amazing big marae whare, and they also it's in the midst of a geothermal park, so there's geothermal attractions to check out there too. There's also the Whakarewa Living Maori Village, which is also in the midst of a geothermal park, and that's more of a focus of how the local Maori interact with the geothermal landscape around them, traditionally cooking food in it, that sort of thing, so that's quite cool. And next up we have Hell's Gate Geothermal Park. So there's a lot of sort of Maori legends surrounding this area, but its a main attraction is the hot pools, but there's a lot of sort of cultural elements woven into it. There's the buried village of Te Wairoa. So this is an ancient Maori village that was buried after the huge Mount Tarawera explosion, the volcanic eruption. So and then finally, totally Tarawera. If you prefer a sort of more intimate but active experience, then these guys can take you out on sightseeing, but also weaving in some of the Maori culture there as well.
Indeed. Next up, we will talk about the Bay of Islands. Alright, so let's move on to the Bay of Island, or in Maori, Ipipiri, and I'm sorry about all the pronunciation, we're doing our best. So there is one of the most iconic, historically significant places in New Zealand on the Bay of Island, which is Waitangi, which is basically the place where the Waitangi Treaty, and there is there the Waitangi Treaty Ground, was signed, and that's kind of like an agreement between Maori and the British Crown into kind of taking New Zealand or Aotearoa into the Commonwealth. There is obviously a lot of controversy around that, and we're not going to go around all the politics about it, but it's a place which, if you are into history, you will want to visit. So what are some of the best things to do there, Laura?
Well, speaking of the Treaty of Waitangi, the Waitangi Treaty Grounds itself is really good for learning a little bit more about the Maori culture. The attraction is very comprehensive. It has a museum, bushwalks, they sometimes have like carving workshops there, and there's really a lot to see there, but a really big highlight of it is they do a cultural performance, sometimes outside of the whare, but if it's a rainy day, they'll take you inside and you'll get to see all the beautiful carvings inside. So that's the Waitangi Treaty Grounds. And then another cultural experience that you can do in the Bay of Islands is the Taia Mai tours, which is a waka paddling tour down the Waitangi River. So a waka is a Maori canoe, and this is obviously a more interactive and active experience where you can engage in the Maori culture.
Indeed. Next up, we'll talk about Auckland. Alright, so as promised, while you guys continue with some more questions, let's move on to Auckland, which in Maori is Tamaki Makoro. One of the cool things is that you will visit Auckland since you are likely to be landing in Auckland. So if you want to pair your visit to Auckland with some Maori experience, well, here are some options.
Yeah, so a really good one is the Auckland Museum, which not only obviously shows like historical artifacts from, from the early Maori days, but also they do cultural performances there. So at certain times throughout the day, they'll do like some kapa haka, which is the style of Maori dancing. So that's a great option. There's also time unlimited tours, which takes people on culturally focused sightseeing tours. So you're going with a local Maori family around Auckland and the West Coast. Very similar is Kiko guided tours, which also does a very similar thing with a local Maori family. Hike Bike Ako Waiheke Island. So if you want to go hiking or cycling around Waiheke Island, then there's a tour for that, which is great, with obviously focusing on some historical sites that are significant to the Maori people. Further up north in Auckland is Te Hana Te Ao Marama, sorry. So this is, they've done like a sort of replica of a historical Maori village and pa site, so you can sort of see how, get an idea of how the Maori used to live pre-European days. And then there's Potiki Adventures, which tour Waiheke Island as well with a Maori guide, and also incorporates some wine and olive tastings as well, because it's Waiheke Island.
Of course.
And then finally, Navigator Tours. They focus more on sort of luxury, curating sort of custom Maori tours as well, particularly focused on sort of fishing and waka tours.
All right, next up we'll talk about Northland. All right, moving on to Northland, which is Te Tai Tokero. In Northland, there's a lot of different places. And Northland also encompasses the Bay of Island and Pahia that we already covered, so we're not going to cover that again. But there's some really cool places such as Cape Reinga and Spirits Bay. There's beautiful places like Tanemahuta and also the town of Whanganui. There's a lot of great experiences there, so Laura, take us through a few.
Yeah, so a really cool experience which you'll find in the Hokianga Harbour, which is located on the west coast of the Northland region, is Footprints Waipua. So they do daytime tours, but one really special tour that they do is a night, like an after dark tour, where they take you to see the famous kauri trees of in the Waipua forest, and they go into they give you more of the Maori legends surrounding it, also doing a bit of singing as well. It's a really different...
In fact, we do have a video of us doing that entire tour if you want to check it out on the channel.
So check it out. So just search Footprints Waipua on YouTube and you should hopefully find our video. That's a great tour and very intimate as well. It's usually very small groups or private tours if it's just you that's booked. Also located in the Northland region is Two Tika Tours, which operate out of Whangarei, and they do the small group tours taking you to different sites around Whangarei and sort of sharing the history there, but also doing a really comprehensive tours with a lot of workshops. So they'll do how to prepare a hangi, show you weaving, that sort of thing. So it's really you do a lot of stuff, but in a very different setting compared to some of the larger tours that you'll find in Rotorua. And then finally, there's Whispering Trails, which is more of a focus on gathering, hunting, and fishing and guided hikes in the Northland region.
All right, next up, we'll talk about the Whanganui National Park, sticking with the North Island. Okay, so next up we have the Whanganui National Park, which is still on the North Island, and this is home to the very popular Whanganui journey, which is a canoe journey across some absolutely stellar landscape, but it's also the place for some really cool and very unique Maori experiences.
Yeah, so starting with the Tieke hut, which is actually, so what you'll find in New Zealand is there's a lot of backcountry huts that you can stay in when you go hiking, when you do the great walks, and the Whanganui or Whanganui, depending on how you want to pronounce it, journey is one of those great walks which has huts on it. So interestingly, one of these huts is actually a fully functioning working marae, so you get to sort of stay on Maori land, which and stay in one of their sort of meeting places, which is what a marae is. Next up we have the Tokitai, which mostly departs from the Whanganui town area. So this is one of the rare tours where you can actually go on a canoe trip up the Whanganui River, but starting from the town. So you don't have to go into some of the remote areas to be able to experience that, which is quite cool. And obviously there is the Maori focus there. Also, there's Ofango Adventures, which is another sort of Maori culturally focused canoe tour down the Whanganui River. Very similar is also Unique Whanganui, which is more multi-day culturally focused guided canoe tours. And then there's finally Whanganui Tours, which is actually a driving tour going alongside the Whanganui River, but also taking you to historically significant places as well as culturally significant places, visiting a lot of different maraes and stuff along the way.
And if you are a bit confused at the pronunciation, as we were talking about a little bit before, make sure to check out the link in the description where you can follow all of the points that we're going through. Next up, Wellington. Moving on to Wellington, which is the capital of New Zealand, and in Maori, Te Whanganui Atara. And there is really a lot of focus on the Maori culture in Wellington, and it is also home of the New Zealand Parliament, which is also, I think, a lot of Maori affairs have been dealt with there. And it starts with the beautiful Te Papa Museum, isn't it, Laura?
Yeah, so Te Papa Museum is the National Museum of New Zealand, and it's its largest museum, of course, because Maori's an intricate part or a very significant part of the New Zealand landscape. There is plenty of exhibitions showcasing the Maori culture there, and it's really amazing and insightful to go and check them out. They also do guided tours, which focuses on the Maori aspects of the museum. So if you want to learn more from a local, then that's a really good way to just get more out of the experience rather than just walking around the museum on your own. Kapiti Island Nature Tours. So this is located just north of Wellington along the Kapiti coast. So they'll take you by boat out to a bird sanctuary called Kapiti Island. And although you'll get to sort of explore more the nature aspects of the island, a cultural sort of aspect of this tour is when you have lunch with the local Maori family that actually owns land on the island, and you'll get a little bit more of a cultural aspect there. There's the Te Wharewaka o Poneke, which is a waka and walking tours around Wellington City. And then finally, there's the Waka Kapiti Eco Tours. So these are waka tours on the Kapiti coast.
There you go. Next up, we're going to be talking about Hawke's Bay. This is going to be our way to wrap up the North Island.
Yes.
Alright, so we're going to quickly talk about Hawke's Bay, which is Te Matao a Maui in the North Island. That's our last kind of section of the North Islands, and there is mostly Maori cultures around the town of Waimarama, which you can see us experience in video, actually.
Yeah, so we'll just talk about one tour that we know of this area, which is the Waimarama Maori tours. Robin just said we do have a video of this on the channel, so if you want to check it out, that's good luck with the spelling, guys. But why Marama?
There's a link in the description of this video. This is where you'll find all your links.
Maori tours. So yeah, this is a very sort of intimate, private or small group tours, depending on who's booked onto the tour. Sometimes it's just you, sometimes it's maybe a couple of other people. But they'll take you to a historical power site and they will teach you different. It's more like sort of talking oral history of the area, sort of getting to taste some traditional Maori foods and some of the plants that you tend to see around you in New Zealand. It's like, oh, try this. Like you could, the early Maori actually used to eat this type thing. So yeah, it's got an interesting aspect there, and then you also at the end get to go back to their family home and try some kawa kawa tea,
which is delicious.
Delectable. Yeah.
All right. Alright, let's move on to the South Island of New Zealand, and let's start with Wanaka, which is mostly associated as a lakeside town with mostly just, that hashtag Wanaka tree, but you can also have some pretty cool Maori experiences there. Yeah,
so the main sort of Maori operator there is Wanahaka. Everybody loves a good pun. So Wanahaka is what they do. One of the tours that they do is a traditional pōwhiri, which is a welcoming ceremony. And they do this actually at the Wanaka tree. So that's one aspect that you can do there. Or otherwise, they do wine tours on the other end of things, but obviously with a bit of a Maori twist there. So yeah, that is Wanahaka.
Nice. Let's move on to the West Coast, which is Te Tai Putini in Maori. I probably butchered that pronunciation and I'm sorry. So it's still on the South Island, and on the West Coast you will be able to experience Maori culture through a very different angle, because it's kind of like the Punamu or greenstone kind of capital of New Zealand, and greenstone holds very particular significance in the Maori culture. So all the tours that Laura is going to mention are going to integrate some sort of Punamu element.
Yes, exactly. So let's start with Garth Wilson Jade. So this is based near Greymouth, and he'll take you on a tour of his workshop, and also he is a descendant from one of the region's original Punamu traders. So has a bit of interesting history going from there. Another cool tour is the Arahura Greenstone Tours. So what they do on their tour is they'll take you to one of the nearby rivers on the west coast, the Arahura River, which is located between Greymouth and Hokitika, and they'll take you there to teach you how to find greenstone yourself, and then once you've found some, you'll make a quick pendant out of it. It's not like a full day carving or anything, but you'll get it's a cool aspect to get a pendant that you've actually found the greenstone yourself. So no other tour that we know of is actually doing that, so that's quite cool. Next is the Te Koha Gallery, which is located in Franz Josef. So, between your heli hikes and whatnot, you can actually spend a few hours carving Punamu in a workshop. So that's really cool. And then finally, Bones and Stones Carving Studio. Although it's not a Maori-run studio, it's taking an aspect of the Maori culture and giving you the whole day to carve your own greenstone with somebody who has been living in New Zealand most of his life. He's actually also of the Polynesian culture, so yeah, it's just really cool. Full day experience. We do have a video on this channel of us working doing the Bones and Stones carving studio, which is great.
Here we go. Next up we'll talk about Abel Tasman National Park. Alright, so in Abel Tasman National Park, also known as Te Taipu in Maori.
Te Tai Tapu.
Te Tai Tapu, yes, that's correct. Te Tai Tapu, sorry about that. There is only one experience which we could qualify as a kind of a Maori experience in New Zealand. So Laura, go for it.
Yeah, so this is unique. Yes, this is Waka Abel Tasman. So this is really cool, different alternative way to experience the beautiful coastal areas of the Abel Tasman National Park, all those beautiful beaches and coastline. So this is doing a sort of, you do like a workshop all together in your group, paddling I would say a traditional waka, but it's more like the design is based off a traditional waka. It's actually just like a really cool looking fiberglass waka, not made out of
double
wood.
hull as well.
Double hulled. So yeah, but it's a really cool like modern waka that you get to learn how to paddle in a beautiful setting. So what's not to love?
And yeah, the Abel Tasman National Park is a stunner. Next up, we'll talk about Christchurch. Moving on to beautiful Christchurch and the whole Canterbury area, which is Waitaha. So in Christchurch and the Canterbury area, you have a wide range of different options, and it is also the home of the Ngaitahu tribe, which is the principal Maori or Iwi tribe. So basically, like the one of the biggest tribe in New Zealand and in the South Island. Yeah. All right. So Laura, some experience.
Yeah, so starting off with Ko Tane Waka. So this is a waka paddling experience once again, but this time on Christchurch's Avon River, which is the main river that passes right through the city centre. And it's also a really good sort of learning experience to learn. It does focus more on the relationship between the Maori and European people, so that's more what they sort of focus on. Another great experience in Christchurch is Te Puna o Wai Fetu. That one was hard
Te Puna o Wai
Fetu. Christchurch Art Gallery, in other words. So that is, there's a lot of Maori-inspired art and exhibitions there, so that's a really good place to experience a different sort of culture, more the art scene of the Maori culture. The Canterbury Museum, which at the time of recording this has actually just moved to a smaller pop-up museum, but it will be reopening at some point. So the Canterbury Museum also has collections about the Maori artifacts and historical exhibitions about the Maori from the local area. And then finally, in the town of Timaru is Te Ana Maori Rock Art Centre and Tours. So they have an art centre which, although it's more like just like the photographs of the some of the ancient rock art that is in the region. So you can sort of learn at the art centre about all those different rock arts, but they also do offer tours to, actually I don't think they take you there. They meet you at the art, at the rock art places, and you can just go and see the rock art for yourself, which is pretty cool.
All right, next up we'll talk about Dunedin. Okay, so moving on to Dunedin, which is Otepoti in Maori. So there are really a lot of awesome things to visit in Dunedin, from the wildlife to the Otago Museum, which features a couple of Maori artifacts as well, which is definitely worth visiting. But there is mostly one really cool tour to do there when you want to experience more of the Maori cultures. Yeah,
so Horizon Tours is run by a local Maori family. They're also really into conservation and stuff as well, so they do have a lot of nature tours. But one aspect that really focuses on the Maori culture is their stargazing tour. So they will teach you about the legends of the different stars that you see in the sky as you're doing the stargazing tour, and you'll learn a lot about how the the early Maori did navigation using the stars as well. So that's a really unique sort of tour in New Zealand overall.
Indeed. Right, next up we're going to kind of wrap up with that by just talking a little bit about the Maori tattoos, or the tamoko. Alright, so let's wrap that up a little bit with some Maori style tattoos. So if you are after your own tamoko, which is Maori tattoos, and you want that to be done by a Maori artist, there are a lot of really cool tattoo parlor all scattered all across New Zealand, where you can get that done. So here's a couple of recommendations. Oh, and by a couple, I mean 10.
Yeah, I'll just say the name of the tattoo studio, as well as where they're located, like which regions they're located, because they all do like very, obviously same sort of thing that they do. So there's Moko Inc., which is located in West Auckland. There's Ototahi Tattoo in Auckland,
and in Queenstown,
and in Christchurch, just to name another one quickly. There's Art and Soul Tattoo in Whanganui. There's Zealand Tattoo in Queenstown and in Christchurch, and there's another one there's also in Hanmer Springs. There's Visual Intelligence Tattoo and Art Studio.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Yeah, located located in Papamoa. There's Karanga Inc., which is located in Auckland. There's Natives Tattoo and Supply Co., located in Palmerston North. And then finally, there's Flax Roots, located in Hamilton.
All right, next up we'll wrap up that, Maori experience kind of show with a few frequently asked questions. You guys know we love doing that. All right, so here are some frequently asked questions about Maori cultural experiences around New Zealand. So if there is something that you wanted to ask in the comments, well, put it in the comment, go nuts. But otherwise, we've got you covered. So which cities in New Zealand, Laura, have the most Maori population?
60% of the Maori population actually resides within the regions of the Bay of Plenty, Auckland, Waikato, and Northland.
So basically all of the North Islands.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Where can people see the Maori culture in the South Islands?
Yeah, this is a really common question because a lot of people are like, okay, it sounds like obviously most of the population's in the North Island, but if you're only exploring the South Island, where are good places to check out the Maori culture? So just as a quick recap of the things that we've already told you guys about, Christchurch is a really good place because they've got the Canterbury Museum, the art gallery, and also the Ko Tane Wakato there. So that's a good mix of experiences. Abel Tasman's really cool for their Wakato there, and also we would definitely recommend going on the west coast to Greymouth, Hokitika and Franz Joseph for their carving studios there and learning more about the Pounamu carving and greenstone.
All right, so a question that we get all the time, we even got it during this show right here. Which one is the best of all the Maori experiences, Laura?
Yeah, so this really depends on what you are looking for, what you enjoy, that sort of thing, because in Rotorua they have a lot of sort of big shows, like they have the big cultural performances with a lot of people in the audience. Some people would find that amazing, but on the other side of things, some people might be like, oh, I prefer more intimate experiences or hand-on experiences where I can ask a lot of questions as well. So in that case, you might want to look more towards doing sort of maybe some Pounamu carving on the west coast, or checking out Waimarama tours in Hawke's Bay, that sort of thing. So,
or learning about the historical part in Waitangi, for example.
Yes, exactly. So there's historical sites. The Waitangi Treaty Grounds is very informative, and so it really depends what sort of experience you're looking for. All
right, so a question linked to what we were talking about before. Is there any Maoris on the South Island?
Yes, there are. So the sort of largest iwi, the largest tribe there is Ngāi Tahu. So what you'll find on the North Island is there's lots of different iwis, lots of different tribes, but on the South Island it's mainly under the umbrella of Ngāi Tahu there.
All right, so a question from the students. There's a lot of students that go study in Christchurch, and so they ask us, where can I learn Maori in Christchurch?
In Christchurch, if you want to know some specific...
I need to restart my computer.
specific activities, again, there's Ko Tane Waka, so that's the waka paddling tour along the Avon River. There is the Christchurch Art Gallery, so featuring lots of exhibitions concerning sort of the Maori culture. The Canterbury Museum, again, has lots of artifacts and interesting exhibitions there. And next up, in all truth, the two most popular Maori attractions in New Zealand are both located in Rotorua, and it's Mitai and Te Patu, which used to be like Tamaki Maori village. So out of them two, like which one is the best? How do you choose between Mitai and Tamaki Maori village? Yeah, so what the main difference between the two is, if I could just wrap it up really quickly. Te Patu is a sort of much larger experience, although they both do very similar things. If you want sort of like more grand, sort of like there's lots of people around, there's like it's more of a grand show. That's what Te Patu does really well, whereas the Mitai Maori village is more intimate, just sort of usually has a smaller group, just slightly smaller experience.
All right, so where is the best place in New Zealand to experience the Maori culture?
There's a lot of great places, so we'll just quickly list off a few. So Rotorua obviously has the most comprehensive array of experiences. There's really like a lot of different stuff going on there, especially concerning different Maori performances. Being able to try a hangi, which you necessarily do across the country, that sort of thing. Waitangi is really great for the history, or like learning about the history of how New Zealand sort of became a nation, the what that meant for the local Maori people, that sort of thing. So that's really interesting to check out. Auckland provides more of an urban experience. So a lot of people don't really associate like Auckland's such a modern city, like how can any traditional cultures happen here? But yeah, you can learn more about how that sort of interacts and how that works in Auckland. So that's a really different experience there. And then in Northland, in the far north, there is a really strong Maori community up there, and it's a very spiritual place as well, in terms of having like Spirits Bay up there, that sort of thing, and Cape Reinga are more leaning towards the spiritual side of the Maori culture. So that may be a different aspect you could be interested in.
Alright, if you find this video useful, like, subscribe. If you want to support us, head on Patreon, there is a link in the description. And if you want a recap of everything we just talked about, but in written form, so you can follow through and follow along, and get all the spelling right and get all the links to all the company we just mentioned, there is a link in the description of this video.